Hello, Galena. Thank you for joining me today and for agreeing to record this video. That's going to be a short podcast in our cost action, and it will help different stakeholders understand better what we do and why we do, so that they can engage with us and we can move forward in creating different networks and having a broader impact. So thank you for joining, and I would start by asking you, what's the business intelligence and why it matters?
Thank you for having this, Vasilia, for having this opportunity to speak about this virtual mobility grant that I worked and lead it together with some other colleagues coming from the other countries of the COST network. So business intelligence, I come personally from the field of business intelligence. And what it is about, it's about nowadays, many companies having big data. And the natural problem that appears and has emerged in the last, mostly we speak 20 years, is, okay, how we can make meaning out of this data and how we can use this data to make decisions and to optimize our business based on evidence that this data is giving us. So when we speak about business intelligence, we speak about different forms of and ways to analyze data so that companies can first to collect, store this big data, but then also analyze this data to make decisions regarding different aspects of their operations. As I say, it becomes really clear that we have the importance of this topic is really big. And why this is the case, as we said, especially in this last 20 years, and with the emergence of big data, data coming from every possible source, we are super connected. Businesses collect data coming from many different sources. So this has become a big problem for the companies, and they look for ways how to improve the way how they collect data, how they analyze data, and how they make decisions based on this big data that they collect.
Thank you, Galena, for giving us this short introduction in understanding what business intelligence is. And I would challenge you with a more specific, more in-depth question and try to touch on linguistic summaries. So first, what are they, and how are they able to help business execution?
Exactly. So as we said, in this big data realm that we are living, and in this virtual mobility grant specifically, we try to understand how linguistic summaries can help execution of businesses. But first, what are these linguistic summaries? So we say we try to collect the data and to analyze the data, but then also how we present it to business decision makers is really important, that is in a way, in an easy way to understand this data and what this data is speaking to us. So what we try to do in this virtual mobility grant is that we try to apply the concept of linguistic summaries. As the name says, it's a way to linguistically summarize information contained within numbers. So we say to business execution managers, we give summaries of the data, analyzed data in a kind of linguistic format, so that one business manager can make decisions easy. Because one of the biggest problems in big data and data analytics is exactly this, how to present the findings in an understandable way for everyone. And we thought the power of linguistic summaries is exactly this. We can summarize the data and explain them in simple linguistic way to business managers, but also they hold really big potential also about reaching new users and customers. So for instance, for people that are depth. If, for instance, there is a linguistic summary of mined big data, they can be presented. They can be presented in Braille, or they can be easily also used for people with disabilities, different ways of disabilities to understand what the big data is telling for every kind of different user. First, we targeted for business execution, but then we also understood that this has big implementability also with other kind of users, and especially also users with disability.
Thank you, Galena, for the insight. And as I've mentioned at the beginning, and you've mentioned it several times, we're here because of the virtual mobility grant. So I would touch on that also, and please give us a broader description of the output. So what are the outputs of the VMG, and also connected with them, how are they connected with your prior research?
Right. So what we, as said in the beginnings, we tried to study the field of linguistic summaries, to study the field of business intelligence, and how we can apply linguistic summaries to improve reporting in business intelligence. And what we did is that we produced several papers. We produced the first conference paper that we produced was about information systems conference 2022 happening in Porto. And there we kind of gathered and discussed the different aspects of the applicability of this approach. And that was already one conference paper that was sent. In another conference paper that is about to be sent for the International Conference of Enterprise Information Systems, we analyzed an actual data set, and we tried to come up with linguistic summaries coming out of the big data that we had in that data set. And we showed the superiority of this approach compared to other approaches. And as said, that is about to be sent. The paper is finalized, and the deadline for the submission of that conference is December 15th. So we are now November 21st. So we just want to kind of proofread and send also that. And then the last that we can, because we are a bigger set of stakeholders, we also set the structure of kind of how the journal paper will be. So we produced 2 conference papers, and we produced the structure for a journal paper and what will go into the different sections. And another virtual mobility grant will probably take it out from there and also produce a journal out of these 2 works. Yeah.
Thank you, Galena, for the description, for the mentioning and the describing the outputs of the VMG. And now one important thing that we're having, what we've implemented in this virtual mobility grants and in other tools that we have in the network is enhancing the network idea. So what were your colleagues, what's the partner countries, let's say, in this VMG?
Right. So besides myself, coming from Université Côte d'Azur, France, we had also 4, and with me including 5 partners. So myself, University of Côte d'Azur. Then we had Miroslav Hudek and Erika coming from Bratislava University. Then we had Molnar Balint coming from ELTE University in Hungary. So Bratislava University in Slovakia, ELTE coming from Hungary. And then we had Miljan coming from Serbia, from a research institute called Vlatakom. And lastly, we had also Hanna coming from Beaufort University in Iceland. So in total, we were 5, as you can see, also really different countries distributed all across Europe. But we also worked with the data sets coming from practitioners. So I believe that we had a really good blend between different expertise. Like, for instance, Miroslav expertise is exactly, and Erika is exactly on linguistic summaries. Myself and Valint are more on business intelligence. Hannah as well is on business intelligence. And Miljan is again in both, because he's kind of, he's sitting in a research department exactly looking at these issues. So I believe that this really presented a good combination of skills and competencies that we had among the different members. And it was all thanks to the cost action. So that was really good.
Okay, thank you, Galena, for describing your network within the COST network. So as you mentioned, it is like a strong network. You got to team up with people all across Europe, I would say. And before closing, what would be your plans for the future? I know you mentioned like a future VMG, or what are the other plans?
Right. So one of the aspects, as we said, we produced the 2 conference papers, and it was really beautiful to collaborate on the delivery of those. And we came up, as we said, with the structure for a journal paper. So the next immediate step would be kind of to speed up also the production of the journal paper, and to come up, another of the future steps that we are currently doing is exactly this, that is to communicate it to a wider audience, that is to record these podcasts so that we can disseminate also to audiences that are beyond the COST network, and larger audience and stakeholders and people of interest in this domain. And also the idea is to present it in future events of the COST network, all the results obtained, and how we can move forward. So yeah, immediate step would be the journal, but then we don't know also where it will lead, because we also kind of started with this. Okay, we write 1 conference article, then we said, oh, but we have material for 2. So even when writing initially the VMG, the virtual mobility grant, we thought only 1, but then we kind of we were really productive and inspired, and we kind of produced 2. We produced also the journal structure, as said. I'm sure that the journal, that would be kind of Miroslav more, that will be kind of leading the journal writing. So that's for sure one. And I kind of also leave it to that we kind of ideas emerge. So I'm sure that after we kind of contribute everything for the journal paper, there will be like, oh, we didn't discuss that a lot in this paper. So let's start from that. But it was really good possibility to actually develop this research thread, and to kind of put us as people together. So that was a really positive side of having to work on this and pursuing forward this project. So, yeah.
So thank you, Galena, for this very interesting overview. And I hope people and our colleagues from the network, and not only them, will be able to see your journal paper and engage if they have ideas for future development or collaboration. So thank you again for your time.
And thank you again, Vasile, for giving this opportunity to me to shoot this and to record this podcast. Thanks